to the Nurse Life Coach Academy podcast, where Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, talk all about how to get certified and practice professionally as a nurse life coach.
Hello, welcome to the Nurse Life Coach Academy version of the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. That was a mouthful. It is Laura here, and I am recording solo today. And I don't know exactly how many months it's been since we've launched the Nurse Life Coach Academy. Let's see. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Okay, we're at 10 months. So today's episode is kind of an update on the Academy, what I see happening in nurse coaching. Essentially, you're going to be hearing my voice, stream of consciousness in your ear. And my hopes is that when you stop listening to this podcast, you are going to be so inspired. Because if you're listening to this, you're either already a nurse coach, you're contemplating being one, and either one is a good place to be. All right. So our first segment here, I kind of want to talk about an update, what I've learned. So we have enrolled about 150 students in 10 months. And we have decided to include our entire business course for these last two cohorts. We actually included it for the first cohort, but not till later on. We were playing with delivery. The goal at Nurse Life Coach Academy is to not only create as many trained nurse life coaches as possible to grow the specialty, but also to create the most confident, the most ready to monetize their skill. And oftentimes, we don't talk enough about this up front. I know most students go through a training program because they hope to make it as part of their career. And yet there's such a small percentage that do that. And my goal is to give all of our nurses the best shot possible, whether it be a part-time practice, whether it be working in your organization, supporting staff, or full-time private practice. We want to be the best. And I think that we are. And I'm really excited about that. And here's why I think that. In our first cohort, half of our grads had paying clients, which is really great. And we're starting to see people getting paying clients in our second cohort. We've started cohort 3 and we're too early to tell, but my sense is that the way that we're delivering the material and the way that we are rolling out each step, it seems more manageable. And it doesn't hurt that for 5 years approximately, we were full-time business mentors and just mentoring grads from different programs for years. So we have that. We created our certification with all that background, and I think it's starting to pay off. So I'm really excited about that. I want to touch on trends in the industry. We are now semi-partners with a coaching company that will hire our grads after graduation. They are exploding in growth. So I am in contact with them directly. They will be receiving resumes of nurses who finish our program. That's really exciting. So I met with their HR department and they were like, well, what do you want? Do you want like finder's fee? And I said, no, I only want the right to say that our grads can also find jobs. And so I am happy to make that connection and continue to network and make connections so that if our grads don't want to start in private practice right afterwards, that we have some places for you to go start putting your resume. And that's really exciting to me. It's exciting to me that coaching companies are growing. And these companies have nurses, social workers, psychologists. They have to have a year of training in coach or national training in coaching. And they are coaching members. And this company is growing. And I'm hearing this across the board. This isn't just one. We have 2 organizations who are going to pay for staff to come through our program. 1 in 10 of our current students are getting tuition reimbursement of some sort because of professional development, because nurse coaching, spoiler alert, it provides skills that hospitals are wanting to pay for. And it solves problems that hospitals are identifying and beginning to take really serious, such as moral injury, burnout, career satisfaction, a deep desire for nurses to grow, for culture, for sustainability. This is all happening. Really, really exciting stuff. I feel like this isn't a trend, it's a movement. Here at Nurse Life Coach Academy, we're jumping in to lead it in just a different direction. And I'm really excited about that. I imagine a world where we have nurse coaches in every new grad residency in the country. We have nurse coaches to support peers. We have nurse coaches to support patients. Yeah, I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but that's what I'm envisioning, and I'm seeing it start to happen. So I've been on so many sales calls with people lately, and if any of you are listening, you probably will hear me say this. A lot of times people ask me, what's different about your certification than others? What I like to say is, if we're not it, I'll tell you. If we're not the program that I think is best for you, I'll tell you. And right now, you talk to Shelby and I. We don't have a sales team. We take all of our own sales calls, and our goal is not to get as many students as we can in our cohorts. It's getting the right students and the students we think this is the right path for. And sometimes we're not the right path. And a lot of times, nurse coaches are trying to figure out if they want a more clinical health practice or if they want a more transformational life coaching practice. And this is what I've noticed over the years. It doesn't matter what a client hires you for. If a client hires you to be their health coach, if they want to work on their diabetes or to lose weight or to lower their cholesterol or preventable health, that's great. I guarantee you by session 3, you're not going to be talking about that. Your client will be talking about other things that will include things like time management, organization, mental health, spiritual health, relationships, boundaries, victim versus growth mindset, self-worth, self-love, time management. It'll be tactical and practical and transactional, but you better believe that they're going to bring stuff to the call. They're likely going to say things to you that they tell no other human, because transformation requires us to put it all on the table. What I don't love about just like specific health coaches or weight loss coaches or like very narrow coaches that's very transactional, it's not holistic in nature. And a nurse coach shouldn't be afraid of anything a client says. A nurse coach should be a safe place for any and all of it, and should have an idea of what they can do in every area of the life, not just health. And that doesn't mean we're therapists or counselors, and that doesn't mean we can't refer out or should refer out for mental health at specific levels, and we teach you how to discern that. But there is nothing that a human being can bring to me that I can't support them in, because I trust myself, I trust my training, and I have tools at my disposal. And that makes me more confident. Because a lot of times we're overweight because our marriage sucks. And a lot of times we're overweight because of past trauma, and because of self-love issues, and because of self-sabotage or something that our mom did or something. Like, we are complex. Yes, we are so complex. The human condition is difficult. And a well-trained nurse life coach, even if your clients are coming to you for something like weight loss or something like diabetes control, even if it's a health-focused front door of your practice, once you get inside, you are a life coach, whether you're prepared to be one or not. And transformational life coaches make the most money in the industry. Might as well get trained in that. Now, confidence is a really big thing. Confidence in coaching is a really big thing. And we really can't have confidence in something that's new. Think about your first few solo shifts as an RN. Nurse coaching is not any different. However, to go from not confident and really not competent to confident and competent, the goal is to make that journey as short as possible. And there are a lot of tricks I've learned along the way to frame it that way. And I'm going to give you guys, and this is starting to become my tagline. As a new coach, within the first 12 weeks, you will know how to hold a session, and you will likely have a pro bono client say to you, my gosh, I've been going to therapy for years, and this session was so much more helpful than all of that. I hear this weekly. And I think I've dialed it down to what it is. An incredible coach can start with 3 things, focusing on 3 things. After those 3 things, there's more skills that you need to have. And you're going to continue to get better and better. But I liken it to good chicken soup. As long as you have good broth, some good chicken, and maybe a good noodle that's not too floppy, it's good. But extraordinary chicken soup has all sorts of secret ingredients in it, and it's very unique to you. And so it doesn't mean that your 3-ingredient chicken soup is not valuable. It's still valuable. It still quenches hunger. It still is yummy. Clients are going to love it. And then over the years, you're going to add to it, and you're going to have your own special flavor and style. But you can provide a very valuable service in the first 12 weeks because we teach you these 3 things. And these, my students who are listening to this, you're going to roll your eyes. You'll be like, Laura is drilling this into our head. There are 3 components that you need to think about. First is to listen deeply. Don't think about you. Don't think about trying to solve their problems. Don't be the expert. Just listen. And it's that level 3 listening. It is slightly supernatural. It is where intuition can come to play. It is where you are so focused on the other person's words, their facial expressions, their emotion. You are immersed in them, and they can feel that you're really interested and you're listening to them. And that is so healing to finally have someone who's interested in you and your story. It's the ministry of presence. It's extraordinary. And all coaching programs teach it. So that's number 1. I often say it's 80% of the game. Everything else is 20. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I think. Second is non-judgmental love. So don't judge them. Even if I did a call last night and we had a student say, gosh, I'm really struggling with this client. She talked for 2 hours. Everything is everybody else's fault. She rated all of areas of her life 0 out of 100. And I did nothing because she just talked at me and I was so tired. And I said, is she in victim mindset? And she said, yes. And so that probably wasn't very fun. It doesn't mean that we have to take on what anybody brings us. It means that we just accept where they are and we don't judge them where they are. And a person like that would be a wonderful therapist referral. That is not a coaching client. And we teach you that. But the way I used to access love in my body when I used to do energy work and energy healing and coaching is I have a guided visualization. I can do it in about 3 seconds now of the way that I felt when I first held my son EJ, who was 5 pounds, 11 ounces, and he looked like a little old man. He was bald. And so he's my firstborn. So the first time you're holding your child as a mother, it's a peak moment in your life. Maybe the best. I don't know that there's any other higher peak moment than that, if I'm being honest. So I take that peak moment where my heart exploded, and I bottle it up into my body and let it come into every single cell so that it is there, so it's available. And I just give my client a little bit of that. Sometimes, it's like the Care Bear Care Share, where they would send like rainbows out of their hearts on their belly or whatever. Like I kind of Care Bear Share people, and I just beam love to them over Zoom, over a phone call, if they're sitting in front of me. I listen and I'm loving them and I'm not judging them. That's the 2 ingredients there. The third ingredient, which I think is really, really, really important, is I want you to look for patterns. I want you to be curious. I want you to ask questions, not questions that you learned in coach training, trying to be perfect and profound and articulate. I want you just, whatever naturally arises, like that you're curious about, you can always evaluate your coaching call afterwards. But it's better to just be in the experience, like a dance, than it is to be worried about every single step. And that's not going to happen your first few sessions, but by week 12 in our program, you'll get there. And you'll get to this timeless space, this time dilation. You'll start to pick up on more information. And those are the sessions that clients will come back for, that will hire you for, and everything else, all the other coaching skills that we have. It's just going to be icing on the cake over time. And that's not transactional. That's transformational. And that's what we lead with at Nurse Life Coach Academy. So while we have a little bit of the woo and a little bit of the deepness, we also have the toolkit, the transactional tools, the performance, the time management, the prioritization, the goal setting, clarity exercises, relational exercises, financial coaching. It doesn't matter what a client comes to you for. You've got a tool in your toolkit that you can use that alone is valuable. If you had a client hire you for financial help and you're like, oh my gosh, Laura, I am not a financial coach. Like I should not be doing this. Great. You probably shouldn't be a consultant, but I guarantee you that the person in front of you has the internet and can get resources. And if there's a lack of information, they can access that. So maybe your coaching would be, what's your number one problem regarding your finances? And they might say, I am in debt and I keep buying things that I don't need and I keep breaking promises to myself and I don't know what to do. Well, a life coachy aspect to that is like, why? What is the feeling that they're running from? What does buying things get them? What is their relationship with money? What did their mom and dad think about money? Has it always been like this? Is this new? Like, really curious. And then when it comes to like homework on like how to start solving this, you might have homework and be like, hey, I'm not a financial coach. I have a way that I do my money, probably not great, but you have the internet, right? And they'll say yes. Say, Google financial, I have some tools in the course too, but you can, as a homework assignment, have them resource themselves on the piece of information that they need, and then hold them accountable to do that action and read that information and bring it back to the next call. We don't have to be the experts of everything. We have to encourage our clients to be the experts of what they need to be experts in. We resource them. We don't tell them what to do. We don't have all the answers. That's not the life coach's role. Now, cool thing is over time, when you've coached on finances 30, 40 times, you probably have some resources that you can pull from. And by the way, you're going to have a better financial picture when you're coaching on finances 40 times. If you're a professional coach, it's likely every area of your life will improve over time. It's the nature of the profession. So over time, like 5 years from now, you might have excellent, like firsthand resources for financial coaching that you didn't have when you first started. And so that's so cool to me. If I had a client say, Laura, can you help me? I am on 18 medications. I don't feel like I'm being heard. And your nurse brain wants to do an insane assessment and you want to figure out what's wrong with them and tell them what to do. Stop. Okay. What I'd love for you to ask them is, hey, that's a lot. Like, first I want to check in. Like, how has that felt? How you, like, let them reflect on the whole journey of it. The journey to illness. How does it feel? Do they feel like they're being gaslit? Do they feel like, let them have the experience. Don't fix it. Every other provider is going to say, oh, well, do this or try this, or you can do this for that side effect or this, and that's what they're expecting. Don't do that. Don't solve it. Let them get it all out. Okay. And then when there comes like this natural point, we're like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I've like shared this thing. I have this goal. I want to get off some of these medications. Like what I'm doing is not working. And these are where some really powerful questions around health can help. And you might say something like, what I notice with myself and my health and all the clients that I've helped with their health, this question can really help us get clear on next steps. And then they lean forward and they're pumped because there's this sense that something's going to happen that hasn't happened yet in their health journey. And they're right, because you're going to ask them to tune into their own intuition. Then you're going to say, okay, we're going to do an exercise here. And I want you just to tell me first what pops into your mind. If your health is composed of your mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health, we got 4 categories. What percentage of your current reality is in each of those areas? Is it 100% physical? Is it 80% mental? Is it spiritual? And that will tell you so much, right? Like that will tell you so much, because for the first time they realize they're holistic. They realize it's emotional, it's mental. I'm depressed from being sick, right? Like they can acknowledge all the pieces. And then whichever one's the biggest, you come up with a plan there. Now let's say they say, I'm 80% sure there's something physically wrong with me. Then they're probably right. And then I would say, awesome. What city do you live in? Let's get you to a functional medicine doctor or a naturopathic doctor in your city. And let's how are we going to move your life around to prioritize care, to go outside of the conventional system and look at some alternative ways to get answers if you need them. Now that's my story. So I can walk this pretty well. But you can see I'm not saying, well, give me your constellation of symptoms. Let me do a head to toe. What medications are you taking? What diagnoses do you have? Like, that's not our role, especially as the nurse life coach. A clinician will take all that information, come up with a hypothesis or diagnosis and a treatment plan. And if they are not getting what they need from conventional medicine, they probably need to go outside of it. Now, you might also say, all right, well, we don't have control over labs and supplements and medications. Like, that's not what we're doing here today. What can you do? Can you sleep better? Can you get more sleep? Can you drink more water? Can you eat 10% better this next week? Like, of the parts we have control over that are likely contributing to your physical health, what do you want to work on? Awesome. Because I can tell you guys, one of the only things, or one of the beginning of my own healing journey was hearing my doctor say, I don't know what's wrong with you, but there's definitely something and we're going to find it together. And I knew I wasn't alone in the journey. And sometimes just partnering with your client in their healing journey is what they most need. Now, some of you have a lot of functional medicine backgrounds. Some of you have like your own personal health journeys. That doesn't mean you can't make recommendations or bring your experience in or share your personal story. But that is different than trying to solve a problem or helping somebody. We don't help people, we empower them. That distinction's kind of, it's blurry. I often find the most powerful coaches that I've ever been with as a client or trained or had the privilege of mentoring, they have a quality. And that quality that I think that I admire the most is the ability to speak the truth directly right into the heart of the client that they see. And sometimes we call that spicy coaching or direct coaching. But sometimes all we need is another human being to reflect the truth to us that we already know to be true, that we've been too afraid to acknowledge. And another thing a nurse life coach does is most people are racked with shame and self-doubt and negative self-talk around anything that's going on in their life. So if they're having a difficult time parenting, they're suffering because they're beating themselves up about parenting. And so then you can coach them around that. With the parenting thing, I often say this. It is proven in the literature that the number one indicator of a happy child is how happy his or her parents are. So prioritizing your own happiness. And if you are constantly anxious and worried and have self-doubt, you are going to create a child who's constantly anxious and worried and has self-doubt. Their nervous system will be modeled after yours. So sometimes like the best way to be a better parent is to prioritize yourself in like a radical way. And we do that in nurse life coaching. Okay, I got a little bit off track there and I don't have a time in front of me. So who the hell knows how long I've been talking. But I hope you're getting a picture of like why I think our grads are really uniquely prepared to go out into the world and do this work. And especially in organizations of doing thought work with new grads. And there's like very basic exercises that if your whole practice was just these 3 basic exercises or 4 basic exercises, there's no client that you can't help in an immense way. And if you have those 3 main ingredients, you have your listening, deep, unconditional love, non-judgment for that whole 60-minute session, and you are curious and excited to be there with that person. Everything else with the tools, like it is going to be extraordinary. It's like pizza. There's very few people who don't like pizza. And there's all you really need is like dough, sauce, cheese. And it's pretty damn good most of the time. Now you can have extraordinary pizza that's got exactly everything that you want, and that's what you'll become over time. But if the entire world is hungry, in 12 weeks of Nurse Life Coach Academy, you will make a damn good cheese pizza and people will pay you to eat it. All right, Shelby's going to be rolling her eyes. I know you're listening to this. Yeah, that's my this week's metaphor. Nurse coaching is pizza. I'll teach you how to make a good cheese pizza by week 12. All right. All right. Let's talk about kind of like the 5 barriers holding nurses back right now. And this is my opinion. This is from experience. This is anecdotal. This is partial research based. This is 2025, no holds barred. What do I see in my enrollment calls, talking to nurses, nurse coaches? I have a little perch. I know how you guys are doing. Here's why you're hesitating. The number one reason you're likely hesitating is because you have fear of the unknown. And this is a normal human fear. Like if you're walking into a forest, you would rather it not be dark and foggy. You would rather it be light and crisp so you can see where the hell you're walking. Yes? That's like our amygdala. Like that is normal. And lots of parts of nurse coaching are the unknown. Every session is the unknown. Every session is the unknown. You can't prepare for it. You have no idea what the subject matter is going to be. As much as you want to make it linear and structured and go step by step by step by step, that's very transactional. It leaves potential on the table, and I highly don't recommend it. So there's unknown in the sessions. There's unknown in the skill set. There's unknown in the identity. There's unknown in the money that you invest, if you're going to get it back or not. There's unknown in where you're going to find the time in your already full life. But it is really fear of the unknown. And I can promise you that the thousands of nurse coaches that have come before you have figured it out. So can you. And by the way, external circumstances are so much more favorable that it really is easier for you than it was for the ones in the past. I'm telling you right now, there's so many more signposts. There's so many more lights on the path in front of you. The next is money mindset. And I cannot tell you how much money mindset affects everything in your life. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we have to work with money every day that we're alive, right? Like we are exchanging money every day that we live. We are paying every day that we spend the night someplace, whether it's a hotel, our own house that we own outright, or renting. We are always spending money if we are living somewhere. We are spending money if we are driving. We are spending money in the United States because if you are breathing, you need health care. We are spending money on taxes. Money is always going out and money is always coming in. If you're listening to this, you likely are not homeless. You're probably not where you want to be financially. Most people aren't. That's normal. But money mindset, when corrected, will change your external circumstances financially, period. It can be no other way. And we are not taught money mindset in our culture. We are not taught money mindset in high school or in college or in nursing school. And often when you're thinking about becoming a nurse coach, there's a creative entrepreneurial part of that, and money mindset will be a determining factor in your success. And so oftentimes, if your mind's like, God, I can't do that certification, it's just too expensive. Yeah, that's bad language. Because if certification lets you create a skill set that helps you earn $200 an hour, which is likely 4 times what you're earning right now, then investing $4,000 in 6 months to have a $200 an hour monetizable skill is not expensive. It's an opportunity. And that's just the way that we have to look at it. There's so many nurse practitioners, I love you guys, and DNPs invested thousands and tens of thousands, and even in some cases, hundreds of thousands into education and time and years to make incrementally more per hour, with in some cases more stress and less job opportunity. For $4,000, you create a monetizable skill that has no rules really, and how much you want to make and how you want to earn it, how you want to work and how you want to design it. What is scary about it is that there's so much unknown. So money mindset, fear of the unknown. Next is, this is an interesting one that I'm noticing. Over-identification with being a good adult. Over-identification with being a quote-unquote good nurse. Having this deep desire to make sure you have something stable and that you're being responsible, and then like doing a certification and starting your own business sounds kind of irresponsible. A lot of it is identity, and going this path, you can sense that your identity is going to shift, and there's a secret part of you that fears that. Now, let me know in the comments on YouTube, or if you're in our inbox or you're texting us, if that resonates for you. A lot of times it's just our identity. And then this one is funny. And this one's sometimes true. Waiting for the perfect time. It's just not the right time. You know what? Sometimes it's not. 10% of the time it's not. And 90% of the time, you're so used to waiting for the perfect time as a form of resistance to any transformation or change in your life that you don't even realize you're doing it. There's no good time to go back to school and become a nurse coach. There's no good time to have children. There's no good time for any of it. There's no good time to get a divorce if you need to get a divorce. There's no good time to, you name it. It's not like we have this culture where we're all, we have a 2-hour lunch every day. We're twiddling our fingers and trying to figure out what is aligned for us. Most of you are feeling overwhelmed almost all the time in some version of fight or flight, especially if you're an RN. And so waiting for the perfect time, I think a way to reframe that is, can I afford to not start? Because if I don't start, I'm going to have more of this. And is more of this sustainable? And so there's this sense that you're taking a risk, and it can show up as waiting for the perfect time for it to not feel like a risk, but it will always feel like a risk. So you're postponing making a decision because you're postponing taking a quote unquote risk. And here's this last one. Who am I to coach someone? I'm 25 pounds overweight. I used to be a drug addict. I yelled at my husband this morning, and I am a B-minus mom. Those are all actual realities for me. So, like, who am I to create Nurse Life Coach Academy? Who is Shelby to, like, build a 7-figure business and help nurses all over the world and have bigger visions? Like, who the hell are we? Who the hell are you? Lack of belief in yourself is part of the human condition. Coaching fixes that. That is a choice. Here's the thing. Who are you not to? If we can start rewiring your brain to start asking the question, why can't I? And you know, how I became a nurse is by having a loved one with a traumatic brain injury in the ICU. And I remember going to visit her in the ICU probably like 3 or 4 days a week, and there'd be different nurses on shift. And there were some nurses who were great and some nurses who were terrible, burnt out, right? And I remember thinking, God, if I was a nurse, I'd do such a better effing job than this person taking care of my aunt. I remember having that, like, kind of angry. And in retrospect, I have no idea, that poor ICU nurse. I mean, I have no idea what her day's been like, what her home life is like, how understaffed they are, how overworked she was. But I was in a surreal experience with a loved one who I wasn't sure was going to wake up, and she couldn't be bothered to make eye contact with me. And I just remember thinking, from a human perspective, from a presence perspective, I can do so much damn better than she could. And that was the first time I ever thought I was smart enough to be a nurse. And that was when I was 27, 28. I did not think, drug addict Laura should be an ICU nurse. That seemed kind of wild to me. So a lot of times it's lack of belief in ourselves because of our past, lack of belief in ourselves because of the way we were raised, lack in belief in ourselves because we haven't examined our beliefs. And beliefs are something we can change. So if you're asking yourself, who am I to coach someone and who am I to start a business? Ask yourself, who are you not to? There's 100% chance there is a nurse with less talent than you and less presence than you and less skill than you, making more than you because they believe that they could try something. We see evidence of this everywhere. So I'm going to go over these five barriers: fear of the unknown, impaired money mindset, over-identification with being a good nurse or a fear of identity change, waiting for the perfect time, and then not believing in yourself. Those are all solvable. Actually, if you have successions with one of our students, a lot of those things will improve. And your whole life and what you think's possible will change. And oftentimes I only have 30-minute calls with potential students, and I'm bummed because I just want to coach you for an hour and a half. But I just trust that in that 30 minutes, you will seek to see if this is aligned for you. And most of our students make a decision based on the way they feel. It feels right for them. I'm a big believer in making decisions like this from a place in your gut, from a place of intuition. That's more intelligent than intellect. But even from an intellectual standpoint, if you're someone who really needs to weigh the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, and check out all of the programs out there, I'm still super confident that this is likely the best place for you. All right. So if you are listening to this and you are not already enrolled, if you are just learning about the nurse coach world, then I want to invite you to meet me in person, or meet Shelby in person, or meet Amy in person. That's our team right now. Right now it's Shelby and I taking calls, but Amy Frame, our director of education, takes calls as well. And sometimes 30 minutes talking to a human being who's asking you about you can help you get some clarity, because it would be good for you if this is not the path, then figure it out sooner so you can go find your right path. Or if you just want to be coached by one of our students, we need volunteers. Our next cohort is filling. We've got so many nurses coaching. They all have to coach 7 private clients, I believe. And so we need a full list of people who want to receive coaching. So if you're not sure, if you're unclear, book a call with us or sign up for free coaching with our team and with our students. I also want to leave you with one more thing. I don't believe that it's easy or advisable to make any big life changes alone. Nurse coaching creates the relationships to make changes successfully in every area of your life. And as you are thinking about starting a business, or you are thinking about becoming a nurse life coach in the first place, those are both really big decisions. And we want to help you make that decision. We're not going to sell to you. We're not going to go high pressure. We're not going to give you ultimatums. We're going to advocate. We'll be direct. But sometimes just speaking to us, either about our business programs or the academy, either one, you'll just feel clearer. And we love talking to you, and we love seeing your name pop up on our calendar. All right. So this was my mishmash of a podcast today. I hope it was helpful. We love to hear from you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can drop a comment and we'll respond. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, you can rate us and subscribe to us. We'd be so thankful for that. And have a great rest of your day.